So next is, let me tell you a little bit more about the internal reconnaissance part, right? As I said, internal reconnaissance, it is basically attackers, so now I'm going to actually describe a little bit more about the life cycle, all right? So internal reconnaissance, again, it is basically attackers, they research about the target, they use your open source intelligence, the OSINT, which you think, they can go on your Facebook accounts, your LinkedIn accounts, the company information, web, anything which is available, on the internet, on the dark web, on the deep web, so they basically gather any kind of public information available and they start making sense of it, right? That is the reconnaissance part of it. They will basically get, try to get information on emails, your servers, even they can do like, IP domain information they can get just by, doing, who is or something like that, on your domain name, a lot of information comes, there too, using sites like pipl.com and other, information gathering sites where they can map, individual people, do some social engineering on them. So all that is part of reconnaissance, right? And the information it is gathered here, and in order to target a specific organization. And as I said, the infrastructure is also a key part here, fingerprint, what their domain is, the different hosts assigned to the domain for that specific company. So there are all these like different parts to it, and then in some cases the company is like fully protected. Therefore, they get some specific server which is not fully protected. Try to like see if there's something which is like has some kind of a public connection to it, and try to like attack and break into that, and then jump into the network, and and that's how they that's one of the reasons, and they start mapping things around after that, right? So understanding the facility that they are physically located in, like key employee information, say the sales guy example which I gave, who is also who also knows the business guy, who then interacts with the engineers, so they can prepare like phishing emails for each of these different roles, and then they can launch them, and they start preparing and looking for other trusted sources, people who will be opening, double clicking on their attachments, and that's how they can also start infecting. So another thing is revenue. So what is revenue of the company? Understanding investments, and understanding technologies and all the information which they can get for the particular revenue for that particular company, and then they can launch attacks also based on categorizing a company based on that revenue, and decide that it's going to go to the next target, I would say. So, and also in this reconnaissance phase, as I said before, understanding the operating system, right? Understanding the browser versions, understanding what kind of browser they're using for that matter, versions of that particular browser. They're using Firefox, they're using Internet Explorer, and are they using an older version? They're using Google Chrome, whatever popular browser, Safari. But they need to understand that, right? And even if they're using some Microsoft Office products, what are their versions of those? Any security products, any like say, or these malware products which they're using, the malware detection products, virus detecting viruses, antivirus solutions, any kind of security products, right? Also, they will then try to map out what firewalls they're using and how they've been protected in the organization, how deep, this gives you a good sense, right? These guys, they don't just, they don't run away if they see a firewall. They'll try to get more closer to it and try to see what version, what, firmware is it installed, what version is of that firmware. So they know everything, because now they're mapping your organization, right? They're already in there. And that is like some of the things, so what is the Office version, browsers, and then they find all these different exploits they can use against their organization. And at this point also, they're basically, before attacking the company, they will also try to like deal with other things like, get something from the black market, and see if there are any 0 days there, buy some exploits or even better deal exploits, and then kind of, work on them in-house and kind of go from there. So So there's a lot which is going behind the scene at this time, you know. Okay, so now let's talk about another step, that is initial compromise, right? So the initial compromise, basically it kind of, you know, represents the method used by the threat vectors to penetrate into the organization's network, okay? I explained before also, one of the ways is to do phishing emails, looking into, like, you know, what emails are coming from trusted sources. They look like, you know, pretty legit emails. And we have a phishing simulator also available, and you guys can check that out on our website on Cyber Training 365. That'll give you a good idea of, you know, we have 150 variants of phishing emails out there. So it's looks like an email is coming from PayPal that, hey, we just saw your, you know, somebody logged into your account. Can you kind of, you know, confirm your username and password? Emails from Bank of America will come to you, from your bank, whatever you bank with. And that's how they try to, and these look like legit emails. An email from LinkedIn will come, oh, you have a new friend request, and or reset your password because you have a new friend request, or something like that, because they just want your username and your password. They want access to that information. Somehow they will get it, you know, or they try to get it. And as I explained, phishing attack is one of them. It looks like it's coming from a trusted source, and when you click, you fall victim to that, right? So then also we have some phishing examples in another class which we have, which is called the Cybersecurity Malicious Software Defender Certification. Take a look at that also. So actually the phishing attack and the phishing emails come usually with attachments, right? And or links, you know, and then when you double click, download, or, you know, do something, one of these actions, they run behind the scene. The idea is that you know, that they will silently execute, right? Another thing is to know here is when you talk about initial compromises is waterhole attacks, right? So waterhole attacks, the strategy is pretty common. I talk about this in our threat intelligence researcher certification also. So what is a waterhole, right? So waterhole is basically, I mean, in the traditional sense, if you go to a forest, a jungle, you know, a waterhole is where all the animals, they come and they drink their water, right? And of course, all these, you know, your lions, you know, the carnivorous animals, they are kind of sitting there, and they're trying to see which animal is more, you know, easy to grab, and then they will launch their attack. So same kind of theory, right? That's why it's called the waterhole attack, and basically it's also described as in the Malicious Software Defender certification, and basically it compromises of websites that the victims use, and these websites which you must be visiting or your company visits, and they infect those websites. So these are like, you know, it could be your common, you know, social sites which you go to or something like that, right? They infect those websites, and when you go down there and you download something from there, that is now an exploit, and then your machine gets compromised. So basically, first they go and they compromise a popular website, right? And you unknowingly go there because you trust that, and then you go and download something from there. Now you have fallen victim to the waterhole attack, right? So that's one strategy also. Also, they are connected to probably, you know, some blogs also. I mean, you must be visiting some blogs daily, and online, like, you know, these days, a lot of, you know, online shopping happens, you know, with their shopping, like e-commerce websites. So all that is also, you know, they could be infected. So you got to be like very careful what you are, who to trust. You have to keep on monitoring the URLs. Keep on seeing that they are using TTL, or, you know, you still call it SSL, but, you know, HTTPS is there, and there's some kind of encryption going on when you're trying to give out sensitive information, right? So all these different, you know, ways and techniques are, you know, something which you need to be aware of, you know. So even from a trusted site, don't download things blindly. If something opens up, oh, print your order or download your order, you know, or something like that. And normally they will try to, you know, give you a link to a zip file, or, you know, a RAR file. It's kind of zipped, and a RAR file. But then and these could be like just exploits, you know, and they come as PDFs also. And in many cases, you silently, you know, can be run on your system and get you compromised, right? And basically, It could be, you know, your Word documents from like Office documents, you know, which are enabled with micros and macros and so forth, right? So this is an initial compromise stage, and breaking into the network is, you know, one of the goals here too. Also, I want you to look at this, right? So another thing is, like, you know, the EXCs, when you're kind of, you know, going by this strategy, they have there's a strategy in which there are different icons, you know. So you don't know that this is an EXC, and this is a good example in which they name the file in such a way that it, it looks like, and it has like a fake icon associated with it. And when you double click on it, it is basically an EXC, it is not a PDF. And this example is a very good example which I've got for you to look at, where you can see, like, you know, the extension, but also it is like a PDF, right? The icon is a PDF. And the right hand side of this, you look at the folder, and final one is basically an executable, but it has got a long name, so it does not display in the Explorer window. And whenever you find something like this, so basically don't go by the name. Oh, it was just a txt file or something like that. You can name a file whatever you want. You can call my big file name .txt, and after that is you know, and then you say ... and so they go by a window, like, you know, browser, like how many what will be the size or the length down there.